Connected to OnePlus 3G.
ये नहीं जलाया मैंने, स्लाइड ज़्यादा हो जाती है तो जब इसको बंद करेंगे तब इसको चला देंगे। यार सिर्फ इसकी लाइट नहीं रहेगी, कम हो जाएगी।
देख लेते हैं।
कर लो खिड़की,
अंधी तो है कि
उस तरफ से खुली रख लेना।
चाहिए दो
शुभ नाम
जल्दी से खुली। पर्दा हटा दो। अच्छा किसमें टेस्ट मिनट किसी में
है 7 बजे।
Evening chanting, page 14. योऽसो भगवा अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो स्वाखातो येन भगवता धम्मो सुपठिपन्नो यस्य भगवतो सावक संघो तमयं भगवन्तं सधम्मं ससङ्गम् इमे हि सकार यथार्हं पिते अभिपूजयामः साधुनो भन्ति भगवा शुचिरपरिनिवृतोऽपि पश्चिमा जनतानुकम्पमानसा इमे सखारी दुगतपणाकारभूते पटिगृह्णातु अम्हाकं दीर्घरथं हिताय सुखाय अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादे स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक
संगो
संघं नमामि हन्दमयं बुद्धस्य भगवतो पुब्बभाग नमकारं करोमसि नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स हन्दमयं बुद्धानुसतिनयं करोमसि तं खूपन भगवन्तम् एवं कल्याणो कीर्तिसद्दो अभुगतो इति पिसो भगवा अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरुष धम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्य बुद्धो भगवाति हन्दमयं बुद्धाभिगीतिं करोमसि बुद्धवारहन्त वरता द्विगुणाभियुतो शुद्धाभिज्ञान करुणा हि समागततो बोधिसियो सुजनतं कमलं वसुरो वन्दामहं तमरणं शिरसा जिनेन्दम् बुद्धो यो सब्बपाणिनं शरणं खीममुत्तमं पठमानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहं बुद्धस्स्विदासीवा बुद्धो मे सामितिस्सरो बुद्धस्सहं नियादिनि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि बुद्धस्यैव सुबोधितं नत्ति मे शरणम् अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्ढेयं सत्तुशासने बुद्धं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं प्रसुतं इदं सब्बेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेषुं तस्य तेजसा हन्दमयं धम्मानुसतिनयं करोमसि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो सन्दिट्ठिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको ओपनयिको पश्चात्तं वेदितव्यो विनियोहीति हन्दमयं धम्माभिगीतिं करोमसि स्वाखाततादिगुणयोगवशेन सेयो यो मग्गपाकपरियत्तिविमुखभेदो धम्मो कुलोकपतना वन्दामहं तमरं वरधम्ममेतं धम्मो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमं द्वितीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेनहम् धम्मस्मि दासीव धम्मो मे सामि किस्सरो धम्मसहं नियादीनि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि धम्मस्यैव सुधम्मतम् नत्ति मे शरणम् अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्ढेयं सत्तु शासने धम्मं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पशुतम् इद सब्बेऽपि अन्तराय भीमाहेषुं तस्य तेजसा हन्दमयं सङ्घानुसतिनयं करोमसे सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अष्टपुरुष उग्गला एष भगवतो सावकसङ्घो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अञ्जलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यतीर्थ लोकसाति हन्दमयं सङ्गाभिगीतिं करोमसे सधम्मजो सुपटिपतिगुणादियुतो यो अष्टविदो अरियपुङ्गलसङ्गसेठो शीलादिधम्मपवराशयकाय चित्तो वन्दामहं तमरियान् गणं सुशुद्धं सङ्घो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमं ततीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेनहम् सङ्घस्मि दासीव सङ्घो मे सामि किस्सरो सङ्घसहं नियादीनि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि सङ्घस्सोपटिपन्नतं नत्ति मे शरणम् अन्य सङ्घो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्ढेयं सत्तु शासने सङ्घं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं प्रसुतम् इद सब्बेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेषुं तस्य तेजसा
महाजय मंगल गाथा सुनेंगे, चैंटिंग भी करेंगे, वो पीडीएफ में है।
Connected to 1 plus 3G.
නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස මහා කරුණිකෝ නාතෝ හිතාය සම්බපානිනං පුරෙට්වා පාරමී සබ්බා පට්ඨෝ සම්බෝධි මුත්තමං ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ජයන්තෝ බෝධියා මූලේ සංඛ්‍යානං නන්දි වන්දනෝ එවං ත්‍විහං ජයෝ හෝතු ජයස්සු ජය මංගලං සක්කත්වා බුද්ධ රතනං ඕසදං උත්තමං වරං හිතං දේව මනුස්සානං බුද්ධ තේජේන සොන්තිනා නස්සන්තු පණ්ඩවා සබ්බේ දුක්ඛා භූපසමෙන්දුතේ සක්කත්වා ධම්ම රතනං ඕසදං උත්තමං වරං පරිලාහූ පසමනං ධම්ම තේජේන සොන්තිනා නස්සන්තු පණ්ඩවා සබ්බේ භයාවූපසමෙන්දුතේ සක්කත්වා සංඝ රතනං ඕසදං උත්තමං වරං ආහුනේයං පාහුනේයං සංඝ තේජේන සොන්තිනා නස්සන්තු පණ්ඩවා සබ්බේ රෝගා උපසමෙන්දුතේ යං කිංචි රතනං ලෝකේ විඤ්ඤති විවිධා පුතු රතනං බුද්ධ සමන්නත්ති තස්මා සොත්ති භවන්තුතේ යං කිංචි රතනං ලෝකේ විඤ්ඤති විවිධා පුතු රතනං ධම්ම සමන්නත්ති තස්මා සොත්ති භවන්තුතේ යං කිංචි රතනං ලෝකේ විඤ්ඤති විවිධා පුතු රතනං සංඝ සමන්නත්ති තස්මා සොත්ති භවන්තුතේ නත්ති මේ සරණං අඤ්ඤං බුද්ධෝ මේ සරණං වරං ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං නන්ති මේ සරණං අඤ්ඤං ධම්මෝ මේ සරණං වරං ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං නන්ති මේ සරණං අඤ්ඤං සංඝෝ මේ සරණං වරං ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං සම්බීතියෝ විවංචන්තු සම්බ රෝගෝ විනස්සතු මාතේ භවත්වන්තරායෝ සුඛී දීඝායුකෝ භව භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සම්බ දේවතා සම්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සම්බ දේවතා සම්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සම්බ දේවතා සම්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ නක්ඛට්ඨ යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපං ගානිවාරණා පරික්ඛස්සානුභාවේන හන්තු තේ සංඋපද්දවේ නක්ඛට්ඨ යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපං ගානිවාරණා පරික්ඛස්සානුභාවේන හන්තු තේ සංඋපද්දවේ නක්ඛට්ඨ යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපං ගානිවාරණා පරික්ඛස්සානුභාවේන හන්තු තේ සංඋපද්දවේ දුක්ඛප්පට්ඨාච නිදුක්ඛා භයප්පට්ඨාච නිබ්බයා ශෝකප්පට්ඨාච නිස්සෝකා හොන්තු සම්මේ විපානිනෝ Ittavata ca ammehi sambataṃ puñña sampadaṃ sabbe deva anumodantu samba sampatti siddhya Ittavata ca ammehi sambataṃ puñña sampadaṃ sabbe sattha anumodantu samba sampatti siddhya Dānaṃ dadantu saddāya sīlaṃ rakkantu sampada bhavana birata hontu gaccantu devata gata sabbe buddha balappatta pancekānaṃ ca yang balaṃ arahantānaṃ ca tejena rakkang bandhāmi sambaso nakkatta yakka bhūtānaṃ pāpam gaha nivarana parittasanubhavena hantu te sammupaddave ākāsattā ca bhummattā devānaga mahindika puññam taṃ anumoditvā chiraṃ rakkantu loka sāsanaṃ devo assatu kālena sassa sampatti hotu ca bhito bhavatu loko ca raja bhavatu dhammiko.
We now listen to the discourse by Ajahn Punnadhamma on Anatta, part 2, and we'll meditate together for 45 minutes along with it.
Session, I asked for this morning's session. I asked you to look at the five khandha as impersonal processes, and I hope you got something out of that. One thing you may have noticed is just how sticky that concept of a self is, that it keeps coming up again and again, that the idea of self is an implicit one that is quite built into our sort of default mode of thinking, and it takes some long practice and long familiarity with the teachings to begin to unravel it. But I hope you also notice that whenever you were able to briefly let go of the concept of self, there's a immediate sense of openness and lightness and freedom arises in the mind. That a constriction is released. And whenever that sense of self is released in that way, the mind has a new buoyancy and a new clarity. But we're still just talking about the first level of self-view, the most superficial one, the conceptual level, cognitive level, implicit idea of the self. And when it's temporarily released through practice or permanently eradicated at stream entry, there still remains deeper levels of self-view. The practice is like peeling an onion, endless layers. Whenever you think you've cleared up one level of defilement, so you're uncovering a newer and subtler level to work with. The sense of self in the middle is related to the desire and ill will. Specifically, desire for sense experience, kamaraga. Kamaraga and vyapada, sense desire and ill will. And they're two opposite sides of a coin. We relate in this realm of existence, the human form is part of a broader category of experience called the sense desire realm. Beings in this mode of existence, this aspect of samsara, primarily relate to the world through the five senses and are primarily motivated by the urge to experience pleasant sense objects and to avoid or eliminate unpleasant sense objects. And without, and this is kind of the default mode for all beings in this realm, and without an effort at getting beyond that, one never does. It's simply the way beings are. In terms of the stages of awakening that I spoke about yesterday evening, for those that were not at that talk, the fetters of sense desire and ill will are so deeply rooted that it takes 2 stages of awakening to eradicate them. The once returner, the Sakadagami, attenuates or weakens those fetters, but doesn't overcome them. And what that's said to mean is that they remain as anusaya, underlying tendencies, or deep-rooted, latent tendencies within the mind that can arise to the level of a thought, or a desire can arise in the mind, but it can never obsess the mind of a Sakadagami. Sakadagami cannot be obsessed or driven by desires. It can be troubled by them, but not obsessed or driven. And it could never be strong enough for a once returner to act unskillfully or immorally to achieve sense desire. It wouldn't occur to them. And anagami is the 3rd stage of awakening, completely eradicates sense desire and ill will. So one of the results of that is why they're called anagami, which means non-returner. If they die in the state of an anagami, they're not reborn ever again in the human realm, because there's no sense desire left in their being. There's no impulse or motivation to take form in an existence that's based on sense desire. They'll only be reborn in a higher realm that is beyond sensuality. So one of the practical aspects of that to contemplate is that there is a sense that desire is even more deeply rooted than sense desire. Sense desire is only one form of desire. It's the crudest form, it's the noisiest at our level of existence, but it's only one form of desire. There are deeper desires than sensuality. And I mentioned this morning briefly, and I promised to return to it, and now's the time. I talked about the second way of attempting to understand the creation of the self is through contemplation of the dependent origination. And this particularly relates to the process as driven by desire. The dependent origination is one of the central teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha said that if you see the dependent origination, you see the Dhamma. And he also, in conversation with Ananda, who was a stream enterer at the time, Ananda made the comment that he really liked the teaching of dependent origination, and he said, I understand this teaching so well, it's so clear to me. And the Buddha said, say not so, Ananda, say not so. You don't understand it. It's deep, it's profound, it's deeper than the ocean. So that's always a good caution to bear in mind when considering the dependent origination. It's a very deep teaching, and books and books have been written about it, and you can study it for years and new aspects will unfold. And it's very fruitful to contemplate. It's a very rich teaching. It's based on the simple premise, axiom of Buddhist thought, that things arise according to causes and conditions and not otherwise. Statement of causality. And this seems almost like a too obvious to bother with, or a tautology. But in the context of ancient Indian thought, it was a very important statement. It was staking out a certain philosophical ground, saying things arise according to causes and conditions and not otherwise. Rejects any idea of arbitrariness or randomness. And the philosophy, and it's sometimes called, dependent origination is called the middle path view, because it's the middle between eternalism and annihilationism, which are, when the Buddha analyzes views outside of his own system, in the Digha Nikaya, the first sutta is an analysis of different schools of thought into 62 possibilities. And they break down mostly into two broad categories, annihilationism and eternalism. Eternalism being the idea that there's some eternal essence or self, an atta or a jiva, or Western terms, a soul or a psyche, that continues from life to life in its unchanging essence. And annihilationism is the view that there is nothing happening but matter in motion. It's a materialist view. So that when a person dies, the atoms just return to the earth, and that's it. And what these two views are opposite and opposed in the world, and we can still see that today. There's two kind of predominant streams of thought, but from the Buddhist point of view, they share one salient characteristic in that they both fall back in the end on randomness or arbitrariness. The eternalist view falls back on the arbitrary will of a creator, and the materialist or annihilationist view falls back on chance arising. But the dependent origination says, no, whatever arises, whatever phenomena occurs, it's due to previous causes and conditions in an unbroken chain. And that general principle, the general dependent origination, is explicated in the specific dependent origination, where the Buddha applies that general principle to the specific question of how does this whole mass of suffering come to be? The existential question of why are we here? How does this happen that we're stuck in these fleshy bodies and born and age and get sick and die? what's going on here, and where's the chain of causality to explain this. And it's an unbroken cyclical process, but it is usually begins. The explanation usually begins at the point of avidya, ignorance. And if you were at yesterday's lecture, you will remember that avidya is also the last defilement to go. It's the highest fetter, or the deepest fetter. Avidya, because of ignorance, is the first stage of the 12. Dependent origination has 12 steps. Because of ignorance, karmic formations, which means beings do stuff, volitionally act with body, speech, and mind. And they act out of ignorance. It's like thrashing around in the dark, knocking things over. The action of beings that are ignorant creates karma. You can think of it as ripples in a pond. You're disturbing the universe. Whenever you think or speak or act, you're shifting things off center a little bit. And the universe recenters, and you experience the results of karma. So because of ignorance, karma formations, and because of karma formations, vijnana, consciousness, and particularly in this it's explicated as patisandhi vijnana, rebirth linking consciousness. So from past causes, from the actions you've done in the past, and this is explaining a human life, when a new life begins, at the moment of conception, consciousness arises. Conception is defined as in the text as the three elements coming together: the mother's egg, the father, although it says mother's blood in her time because they didn't know about eggs in those days, the father's seed, and the consciousness seeking rebirth, the Gandhava seeking rebirth. So the consciousness arises together with the two physical elements, and the three together begin a new life, a new continuity. And that consciousness has been conditioned by past, is caused and conditioned by the past actions. And then because of consciousness arising in that new matrix, name and form, nama rupa, which means body and mind, the unfolding of a being. Now after conception, the being forms, the cells divide and the being takes on form and shape and organs and becomes whatever class of being it's going to be. And after name and form, or because of name and form, there's the acquisition of the sixth sense basis. So a being is born and they have six sense bases. The five physical senses and the mind sense that knows mental objects. And this is the image in traditional art that shows the dependent origination in graphical form. The image for this is a house with 6 windows. Consciousness has 6 windows to look out of: sight, sound, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and mental sense. And takes these various classes of objects. And because of the 6 sense bases, contact occurs whenever consciousness operating through one of the senses experiences an object. And of course this happens in waking life countless times, in a second. We're constantly contacting objects. Because of contact, vedana, feeling, and this is the result of every contact is that the mind reacts to it. this is either a pleasant contact or an unpleasant contact or a neutral contact. Every contact is classed by the mind automatically in those categories, and that's Vedana. And because of Vedana, craving arises, tanha. And tanha is classified as three kinds: kama tanha, sense desire; bhava tanha, the desire to be; and vibhava tanha, the desire not to be. I said that there are deeper levels of desire than sense desire, and this is those other two. Even without sense desire, there's a desire to exist, to be, this thirst for existence, and its opposite or its shadow, desire not to be, the desire for obliteration. And ordinarily we go back and forth between the two. Desire to be is the desire to be in his most primordial existential sense. It's the desire to exist, but it manifests as desire to be more, to be better, to be richer or more beautiful or more powerful or whatever, to be more, to aggrandize the self. And the desire not to be arises because consciousness is perceived as a burden, and beings seek to throttle it back. You want to dull it down, the extreme form of that is suicidal impulse. But short of that, everybody experiences moments of vibhava tanha where you just want to sort of blot it out, you want to dull it down. Oversleeping, overeating, watching mindless TV for hours, drinking drugs. There's many different methods that we use to damp it down. That's a vibhava tanha. And this link between feeling and craving is very important. Because this is the place of practice. Feeling is classified as the last of the sequence of resultant factors. That means they're results of past karma, and at the moment there's nothing you can do about it. It's coming to you. It's like that you're playing cards, and those are the cards you're dealt. And feeling is the last step in that process. So when you have made a sense contact and you feel happy or you feel sad, that's just as it is. There's nothing you can do about that. That's just the experience you've been dealt, the hand you've been dealt. But then the next stage, the arising of craving, begins a new cycle of volitional factors. If you surrender to the craving, then you keep the wheel of samsara going. But it's possible to recognize the feeling and break it off there and not surrender to craving. And if you look particularly at that aspect of sense desire craving, its relation to feeling is interesting, because there's obviously a multitude of different things that we can desire. You can make a long list of objects that you desire. But if you examine any one of them and ask, why do I want this? And you follow it back far enough, it'll be because you think or you know from experience that acquiring that object will give you a hit of happy feeling, sukha vedana. So it's actually the sukha vedana that in the last analysis is the sukha vedana or happy feeling that you're craving. And you want to avoid the dukkha vedana, the unhappy feeling. If you do, which is the default position and happens most of the time, you do surrender to the craving and let the dependent orientation continue, Then the next stage is upadana, is translated usually as clinging. A more literal translation is fuel. It is craving elaborated. The craving becomes more complex. So the initial craving is very elementary. It's a very crude movement of the mind, just I want it. It's just this feeling of desire. And there is, at that point, there isn't really much of a self created. It's a very primitive movement of mind. But with the arising of upadana in the next stage, it becomes more of a project. It's now moved from I want it to how do I get it. And the mind begins to create a structure to hold the object, either in the imagination or in reality. It begins to take actions in the world to acquire the object. But in any case, there's a kind of a project. And to possess an object, there must be a possessor. So a self-other relationship is set up. And there's a container, the self as a container for the desired object. So me and mine and the desired other. Or the negative aspect, if it's undesired, if it's a repellent object you're trying to get rid of, there's still a relationship set up, self and the other that I'm trying to push away. So this is how this second level of self is manifested. This deeper level of self is through the energy of craving. And because of clinging, becoming, bhava, to come into existence, you invest into this samsaric manifestation. And because of becoming, the whole cycle starts. The next is birth, and then old age and death. So you're coming into existence. And of course, after death, there's the ignorance of transition, a loss of any knowledge gained and any memory, and out of ignorance, karmic formations. The next time around, we're operating again from ignorance. This dependent origination has, as the Buddha said, is very profound, and it's a lot of different interpretations of it. The interpretation in terms of over several lifetimes, taking birth and death as literal birth and death, and Padisanda Vijnana as rebirth consciousness. That's the most literal interpretation from the suttas, and it's the kind of standard model. But there's also a way of interpreting it to look at it in an individual moment, a mind moment. So you're coming into birth with each moment. You're freshly investing in samsara in each moment. And I don't think the two models contradict each other. I think the same thing operates on different scales of reality. And in this very moment as we're alive, we're constantly coming into birth and dying. You invest in some object of consciousness. You have a desire for it. You build a self around it. It crumbles and falls away. There's a death. And then you start again. Now this kind of, this level of self I'm relating to the intermediate level of self that still exists after stream entry. That for a Sakadagami is still subject to this level of the stream enter, and the Sakadagami is still subject to this level of self misapprehension. such a person, even though they can no longer believe or conceptualize the self, they can still feel the self in terms of desires. So he or she doesn't believe or conceive as a reality the self, but can still feel it on a emotional level. That I want this. This is tasty. I want that. That there's still that sense remaining, and this creates a kind of a more deeply rooted sense of self, because it's not to do with the conceptual or cognitive function. It's to do with emotional satisfaction. It's a deeper level of the psyche that we're still operating from desire, and particularly talking about sense desire at this level. So even if you can temporarily or permanently eradicate the conceptual sense of self, then you still remains to work on this kind of selfish impulse of appeasing the sense desires. Yeah. And that's the way to work with that is in those few steps of the dependent origination: contact to feeling to craving, to notice that process, to make that process as conscious as possible, so that if it's conscious enough, you're able to then break it. You're able to see a feeling arise and not let it turn into craving. It's important to distinguish between that, the feeling and the craving. Somebody asked me in a talk I gave about this, well, what about if you see a pretty flower, for example? Seeing the pretty flower that's a karma resultant. It's because you've done some positive karma in the past, you have the result of seeing a pretty object, a pleasant sense object. So you experience a pleasant sense object, and that's a resultant. So that has no bearing or effect on you on your future up to that point. It's just a simple experience, a pleasant experience. Likewise, an ugly object is a result of previous unpleasant karma. So that then that arises from seeing a pretty flower. It arises in the mind, happy feeling. Oh, that's nice, that's pretty. You feel good. And so far so good, that's all resultant. But then if the mind goes into craving and desiring to acquire that experience or prolong it or repeat it, then you begin the process of dependent origination, going around you feel the next turning of the wheel. So it's that key moment after feeling and before craving is the moment of practice when it can be broken. Experience arises and then it's known, and it's just experienced as it is, and the feeling is allowed to manifest without blame or without result, and you stop it there. But if you allow craving to arise, you're fueling the next turning of the wheel. one of the kind of small side benefits of seeing this, understanding impermanence, is that you are free to enjoy the good moments more, because you're not burdened by a sense of loss, thinking, oh, this is not going to last, I'm going to lose this. Instead, oh, here it is right now, I experience pleasant sensation and then it's gone, and just move on. So, the exercise for this meditation period, you can continue with breathing or walking as a basis, but I want you to try to make an effort to notice that cycle of contact, feeling, craving. When you feel, as you will, constant reactions to things, so it's too cold, I don't like it, or a feeling of this is getting boring, when is the hour going to end? You notice that as a feeling, and try to not let that turn into a craving. If it repeats and it obsesses the mind, you know that you've let it go and it's worked into a craving. But if you can notice contact, feeling, and stop it there, that's perfect practice. If you can notice contact, feeling, then craving, and stop it there, it's a little bit harder to stop it at craving, but you can also do that. So see if you can make that teaching an experiential reality. See if you can notice how that works on a momentary level by noticing the objects and trying to pay particular attention to the feeling that arises.
आज संक्षेप में अजान ने समझाया कि जो पहला लेवल अनत्ता का था, कल जैसे बताया था कंसेप्चुअल लेवल की बुद्धि के स्तर पे ठीक से समझ लिया। फिर दूसरा लेवल है कि जो राग द्वेष है उसके कारण जो आत्मभाव जागता है उसको समाप्त करने की बात थी। तो उसके लिए आपने प्रतीत्य समुत्पाद का नियम पूरा समझाया कि किस तरह से अविद्या के कारण कर्ता भाव बनता है और कर्ता भाव से फिर हम कर्म करते हैं, कुशल या कुशल, और उसके अनुरूप अगला जन्म मिलता है। और हर जन्म में जब हम इंद्रियों से का बाहर के विषयों से संपर्क होता है तो वेदना जागती है, और क्यों अविद्या अगर है तो वेदना के प्रति हम चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए इस तरह का भाव करते हैं तो तृष्णा जागती है, और फिर तृष्णा जागेगी तो काम राग बढ़ेगा। 3 तरह की तृष्णा बताई, काम तृष्णा, भव तृष्णा, विभव तृष्णा। तो जो काम राग है उसमें दोनों ही आ जाते हैं कि ये चाहिए और ये नहीं चाहिए। तो काम राग और व्यापाद जो कि सगदागामी, अनागामी, सगदागामी के लेवल पे थोड़े कम हो जाते हैं, अनागामी के लेवल पे पूरी तरह ख़त्म हो जाते हैं। तो ये दूसरा स्तर है अनत्ता को समझने का। तो अंत में इन्होंने कहा कि थोड़ी देर ध्यान करके आप देखिए क्या प्रतीत्य समुत्पाद को अपने अनुभव पे उतार सकते हैं। कोई विचार आता है, उसकी कैसी फीलिंग होती है, फिर उसके प्रति तृष्णा जागती है कि नहीं जागती, या आँख खोल के देख लें, या कुछ सूंघ लें, या खा लें, या सुन लें, तो उसके प्रति कैसा फीलिंग आती है, और फीलिंग के प्रति कैसी वेदना जागती है, और कैसे उसके प्रति हम प्रतिक्रिया करते हैं, तो उसको देखने का प्रयास करें। तो अभी अगले 15 मिनट हम ऐसा करने का प्रयास करते हैं। ब्रह्म विहारों का अभ्यास करते हैं। पहले मैत्री ब्रह्म विहार, जैसा हम सबको मालूम है, पहले हम अपने लिए शुभकामना मैत्री, पहले अपने से, फिर अपनों प्रियजनों से और फिर समस्त प्राणियों के प्रति। तो जो हमारी मैत्रा चांट थी उसी के जो वर्सेस हैं वो हम उनको इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। मैत्री का अर्थ है कि किसी से शत्रुता ना हो, किसी के प्रति द्वेष ना हो, सबके भले का मन में बात बैठे। तो यही बात हम अपने लिए भी और सबके लिए। मैत्री का अभ्यास करते समय जितना हो सके शरीर के साथ मन रहे, ताकि हृदय की गहराई से बात निकले, ऊपर ऊपर सतह से ना निकले। सब मिल के बोल चांट करते हैं। अहं अवेरो होमि अव्यापंजो होमि अनिगो होमि सुखी अत्तानं परिहरामि। अब अपने प्रियजनों के प्रति, माता पिता, भाई बंधु, रिश्तेदार, जो हमारे धर्म भाई धर्म बंधु हैं, उन सबके लिए, मित्रों के लिए। मम माता पितु आचार्या च ज्ञातिमित्ता च स ब्रह्मचारिणो च अवीरा होन्तु अव्यापज्जा होन्तु अनीगा होन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। अब उन देवताओं के प्रति जो हमारी रक्षा करते हैं, इंडिविजुअली, कलेक्टिवली, देश की, सब सारे विश्व की, इस धरती की, चाहे वो धरती पर रहने वाले देवता हों, पृथ्वी पे या पेड़ों पे या आकाश में, उन सब के प्रति मैत्री का भाव। आरक्खा देवता, भूमट्ठा देवता, रुक्कट्ठा देवता, आकाशट्ठा देवता अवीरा होन्तु अव्यापज्जा होन्तु अनीगा होन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। अब समस्त प्राणियों के प्रति, जो भी जीवित हैं, जो भी जीवन है, सांस लेने वाले प्राणी हैं या और सूक्ष्म हैं, सभी प्राणी जिनमें आत्मभाव है, पुरुष हों, स्त्रियां हों, देवता हों, मनुष्य हों, और चाहे नरक लोक के वासी क्यों ना हो, उन सब के प्रति शुभकामना। सब्बे सत्ता सब्बे पाना सब्बे भूता सब्बे पुंगला सब्बे अत्ता भाव पन्ना सब्बा इत्थियो सब्बे पुरुषा Sabbe Ariya, Sabbe Anariya, Sabbe Deva, Sabbe Manussa, Sabbe Vinipatika, Avera Hontu, Avyapajya Hontu, Aniga Hontu, Sukhi Attanam Pariharantu. अब करुणा ब्रह्म विहार सर्वप्रथम उन लाखों लोगों के प्रति जो महामारी से पीड़ित हैं, जिनकी संख्या बढ़ती जा रही है, उन परिवारों के प्रति जिन्होंने अपने प्रियजनों को खोया है, उन सब के प्रति जो किसी भी तरह से इस परिस्थिति में कष्ट झेल रहे हैं, सबके प्रति सबके दुख से मुक्त हों, दुःखामुच्यन्तु। आए सब मिलके उनके रोग मुक्ति के लिए चैंटिंग करें। समीतियो विभज्यन्तु शोको रोगो सतु माते भवतु तरायो सुखी दीर्घायु भवत सुखी दीर्घायुको सुखी दीर्घायुको। सबके दुख दूर हो, रोग दूर हो, रोग दूर होने में जो बाधाएं हैं वो सब समाप्त हो, सभी सुखी हो, दीर्घायु। अब कृतज्ञता ज्ञापन सबके प्रति जो सभी रोगियों की सेवा में लगे हैं, बाकी सब हम सब की सेवा में लगे हैं, जो कि बंधन में घरों में बंद हैं, उन सब के प्रति कृतज्ञता ज्ञापन, पुण्य वितरण, मैंने जो भी पुण्य आज किए हैं, आज से पहले किए हैं, उन सब में वो अनंत प्राणी भागीदार हो। पुण्यस्य इदानि याना अन्यानि कथानि मे ते संच भागिनो हन्तु सत्तानंत प्रमाणिका। अमृता ब्रह्म विहार सबकी खुशी में, प्रसन्नता में हम भी शामिल होते हैं, जो दुख से मुक्त हुए हैं, जिनके घर पे कोई और किसी भी तरह से प्रसन्नता आई हो, सभी सुखी रहें, उनकी संपत्ति बनी रहे, सुख संपत्ति सब बनी रहे, उससे दूर ना हो। यथानंदा संपत्तितो मां गच्छन्तु। अब अपेक्षा ब्रह्म विहार मन को शांत करने के लिए, समता में रखने के लिए, लोगों के दुख से कहीं मन विचलित ना हो, भगवान की वाणी, सब जो भी होता है हमारे कर्मों का ही फल होता है। यम कर्मं करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति। इस बात को, इस नियम को याद रखें चित्त हमारा समता में हो, सभी प्राणियों का चित्त समता में हो, कंपायमान न हो। तिष्ठस्य लोकधम्मे हि चित्तस्य न कंपति अशोकं विरजं खेमं एतं मंगलमुत्तमं। ये बड़ा उत्तम मंगल है। ये हमारी 12वीं व्रत बनता है, बोधि का अंग बनता है। तो उपेक्षा ब्रह्म विहार का निरंतरता से हमें अभ्यास करते रहें तो हमारा मंगल ही होगा।
सभी
सत्ता सुखी होन्तु, सबे होन्तु चखेमिनो, सबे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा किञ्चित् पापमागम, मा किञ्चित् शोकमागम, मा किञ्चित् दुःखमागम। सभी प्राणी सुखी हो, सभी की दृष्टि सम्यक हो, सभी निरामय हो, कोई भी पाप कर्म न करे, कोई शोक न हो, सारे दुखों से मुक्त। मंगलम रक्षन्तु सर्व देवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते। अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादि। स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मो नमस्सामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि।